Okay, so my name is John Demers, D-E-M-E-R-S, and I'm the Assistant Attorney General for National Security at the U.S. Department of Justice. Look, China represents 80% of the economic espionage cases that we have charged here at the department since the beginning of the economic espionage statute back in the 1990s.
So why is there still no smoking gun?
An endless clash of commercial and geopolitical interests. A clandestine yet continuous battle that directly affects us all. The internet and all of our connected gadgets are now a battleground in their own right, and there are no rules to this war.
Land, sea, air, space, cyber. It's a domain, it's a place, it's a location.
In this theater of operations, from espionage to 5G, a new player is coming to the foreground. China. Its goal, to become the world's leading power by 2049. It's the 100th anniversary of the People's Republic. To increase its economic, technological, and military capabilities, China has become a master of modern espionage.
China is often relegated to this kind of like second tier of intelligence services, and that is just not the case. I think we underestimate them continuously to our own detriment.
Via cyberspace, China steals secrets from strategic companies.
This group targeted at least 9 companies, most of them are stock listed.
Faced with the rise of China, America is taking notice. Since the end of the Cold War, the US has not shied away from global espionage, including on its allies. But it's no longer the only one. There is one challenge central to the superpower's success: to not lose its rank as the world's #1.
I raised once again our very serious concerns about growing cyber threats to American companies and American citizens. I indicated that it has to stop.
应该是 U.S. government 就是美国政府也在后面是也是使了一些这个力量商业战中间都是这些不管怎么样，就大家不能说是谁都是发展的利益都是干嘛的。
Behind the keyboard, the clash between the two giants appears to be a real war, however, one that's never officially been declared.
China's goal, simply put, is to replace the U.S. as the world's leading superpower, and they're using illegal methods to get there.
FBI 说的话你也能信？美国有关官员立即纠正错误，停止发表错误的涉华言论。
What is Europe's role on this battlefield? Between its historical American ally and its new Chinese economic partner, Europe is struggling to pick a side.
Europe is kind of the meat and the sandwich, if you like, between the United States on the one side and China on the other.
How does Europe react when its diplomatic communications are hacked by China?
You know, the particular attack that you have mentioned is only one of the very many attacks that have been going on, are going on, and probably will be going on.
What are China's true digital espionage capabilities? Are they being exaggerated by the United States? Or is this new cyber power trying to reshuffle world order?
They're a cyber superpower, and they're not going away. They're a global player. So whether you like it or not, you're going to have to deal with China.
China is now the country with the most internet users in the world. But at the turn of the millennium, only 4 million Chinese had access to the internet, less than 1% of the population. At that time, however, China was about to enter cyberspace and its conflicts with a bang. Two international events pitting them against the US will provoke the first Chinese cyber attacks. The first in 1999. On the night of May the 7th, during a NATO operation in Yugoslavia, US missiles destroyed the Chinese embassy in Belgrade.
要求北约必须对此承担全部责任。打倒侵略！打倒叛军！打倒叛军！
In 2001, a collision between two Chinese and American military aircrafts resulted in the death of a Chinese man. Following these two events, American websites are attacked. The world hears about Chinese hackers for the first time.
You worked for 14 years as an expert for the US National Security Agency?
13.
13? Okay.
The NSA is the powerful US communications spy agency. Priscilla Moriucci headed the Asian Cyber Threat Analysis Office there.
There certainly were a core group of people in the late 90s and early 2000s, who were kind of involved in what people would sort of call like the US-China hacker wars, right? They were interesting because it was one of the first times in which you had people on the side of one nation state who were sort of using the internet, right, as a tool, to kind of attack and for political retribution or motivations.
The attacks were signed off by two groups, the China Eagle Union and the Honker Union of China. To find the websites of these two organizations, you have to go back 20 years. Archive.org is a veritable time machine for the internet. In a few seconds, we're back in 2001 on the homepage of the China Eagle Union. Shield of the nation and justice. My heart is pure and radiant. As well as the Honker Union of China website, the Hackers Union of China, Chinese Hacker Cybersecurity Alliance.
I think it was sort of one of those transition periods in time, right? When Chinese perception of themselves and the role that they were playing and they occupied changed, and that reflected, right, also in kind of cyber operations and the rise of these kind of the Honker Union, right, and these kind of groups who realized that they had a tool, right, the internet, that they knew how to, affect, United States. And they employed it.
Ces hackers des origines, ces pères fondateurs, sont très connus en Chine, sont quelque part très respectés.
Candice Tran Dai is one of the few experts to have studied this first generation of Chinese hackers.
Et en plus, il y a un côté star system en Chine, dans la culture du hack, qui est vraiment très spécifique. Le côté vraiment renommé. Beaucoup d'internautes les admirent pour leur technicité, pour leur audace.
With a Chinese speaker who we kept anonymous, we go in search of these first Chinese hackers. We make a list of the aliases we find. After several weeks of research, we have faces, backgrounds, real names, and even email addresses. Among them, the leaders of the groups in this first Sino-American hacker war. Eagle, founder of the China Eagle Union, described as the godfather of this generation. And Lion, leader of the Honker Union of China, one of the most active groups of the time. We contact all of these hackers via secure email. Only one accepts our interview request, the sponsor himself, Eagle, under one condition, not to show his face.
Why do you wear a mask and glasses?
其实只是因为考虑今天的 interview，我想不用入脸，你们可以叫我 Eagle。第一个是，我是一个在中国就是比较早的这个，然后我有很多一个人的时间。那么，在我接触电脑之后，我可能就被它 computer 这个领域给吸引了。但是可能是中国的这个过去的这种武侠文化里面有一个饲养过千金的这样的一个典故吧。那我觉得这个 computer hacking 有一点。
How would you describe the hacking culture at the time?
中国互联网上有就是比较活跃的一种主要的交流方式是通过 BBS， 然后所以我大概在97年也做了一个 BBS， 就叫 China Eagle Union， 然后在刚开始这个 BBS 上，当然它不光是谈论技术的话题，很多会谈论一些这个社会性的话题，因为这个时候互联网已经成为，包括也开始接触外面更多的世界，是去做一个这样的这个维护，把这个 BBS 向这方面进一步深入的一个原因。然后01年就是中美经济对撞这个事件，因为我们觉得这个事情是挺憋屈的。信息是由美国的黑客组织黑了这个中国的网站。2个当时的这样这个也是这种安全爱好者的这种团体，选择去进行一个类似一个报复性的一种表达，我们就也会去黑听一些美国的。
On its website, Eagle issues a call to all Chinese hackers. Action plan against hegemony and for China's unity. Purpose: to issue a warning to all anti-China forces that are trying to divide the country. Method: all available computer means. He and his group, the China Eagle Union, are targeting a symbol of American power, the Navy. This is one of the US Navy sites in 2001. Eagle and his gang replace its content with their patriotic slogans. China's patriotic hackers will beat down all the hegemonism of the world. All the Chinese must be united and fight for the honor of our homeland.
On a des hackers patriotes qui vont agir quand la Chine est critiquée. Et forcément, il y a un moment, ça va, entre guillemets, arranger le gouvernement chinois. Mais ce qu'il faut retenir, c'est qu'à d'autres moments, ça va déranger le gouvernement chinois.
In May 2001, the Chinese state denied all responsibility for the young nationalist hackers. An editorial in the People's Daily, the official press center of the Communist Party, declares the attacks illegal. Attacks and sabotage of websites, whether from American or Chinese hackers, are unforgivable and illegal acts. It's no exaggeration to call it cyber-terrorism. A call to order that doesn't surprise former British spy Nigel Inkster.
What can you say about your former job?
I worked in the British Secret Intelligence Service, retiring as Assistant Chief and Director of Operations and Intelligence. Firstly, the Chinese Communist Party doesn't like any organization that's not under its control, sees that as a challenge and as a threat. And secondly, as I said, in practice, some of these patriotic hacker groups was potentially detrimental to China's interests as the party saw them. So for both those reasons, they needed to bring them under control.
In 2001, China changed not only their own history, but the history of the world. It joined the World Trade Organization and became a major player in international trade. It was a decisive step towards becoming a world power. Hackers like Eagle were sacrificed to ensure the new economic respectability of China.
说我们，因为我们其实从2002年我们就已经对外宣布说我们不会再做一些这个 hacking 的这个事情了，因为我们其实觉得这个表达抗议已经表达过了，那我们更多的应该放在建设，就是参与到建设中去。另外一个就是，你 BBS 特别的麻烦，后面这个管理起来，那就是因为这个，因为你要管理这个，你要对所有的发言要负责。 会有这个对，如果这个发帖里面有谣言，会有什么你要对这个是要去负责任的，所以就是这是一个管理方面的一个压力。
Eagle disbands his organization. Its members disperse.
也有一些这个加入的安全公司，那也有一些就是说，我们有一些成员后来成为 cyberpolice。
We had a group of people with the requisite cyber capabilities who were showing a kind of autonomous disposition to work as they saw it, to put these capabilities to the service of the state. The potential was there, and I think this was seized upon, yes.
Did some of the first hackers work for the Chinese government? On the WikiLeaks website, where a group of journalists publish classified documents and leaks from anonymous sources, we find references to early Chinese state-sponsored cyber attacks documented by the United States. According to a secret telegram from 2009, a hacker on our list, Lion, was recruited by a company close to the Chinese military, TopSec. TopSec employed a known Chinese hacker, Lin Yong, also known as Lion, and owner of the Honker Union of China. TopSec provides services and training for the People's Liberation Army. Lion appears 8 years later at a cybersecurity conference in Shanghai. He didn't lose his reputation, nor his convictions.
曾经一代行业，
一定程度上是那个时代的民主感情催生了红客联盟。是的，我们不做谁做？我们不喊谁喊？我们都曾经年轻过，谁都犯过错，谁都在成长。领导技术能力。 从攻击转向防御，从破坏转向建设。
Lion calls on hackers to stop and instead to serve the country and contribute to China's IT development. This new guideline became official 4 years later through the voice of China's new president, Xi Jinping.
“13·5”时期，发展积极向上的网络文化，拓展网络经济的空间，促进网络、互联网和经济社会发展融合发展。
Jeff Moss is one of the world's leading cybersecurity experts. This American is the founder of the world's largest digital security conferences, DEF CON and Black Hat. In 2018, he launches a Chinese edition of DEF CON, a symbol of the meteoric rise of cyberspace in China.
Five, 6 years ago, the president goes on TV and says that cybersecurity for China is critical to the future success of the country because the future is connected, the future is internet, and if you're going to be successful, you have to be able to protect it. And so security people are critical to the future of China's economy. Overnight, universities started offering information security. Companies were scrambling to find hackers and security people. So they went from obscurity, doing their passion, to being in demand.
China's first hackers, who have fallen in line, are contributing to the country's incredible rise. China is becoming the world's second largest economy. Their next goal, to be number one. China is deploying its cyber force to surpass the United States. Its strategy? Steal industrial secrets from their biggest companies. At least, that's what American officials claim.
I'm John Carlin, and I served most of my career at the Justice Department. When I was a prosecutor, I went to a secure facility. I still remember going on the trip where there was a task force housed of both law enforcement and intelligence, and there was a giant Jumbotron screen in the background, the size of a movie theater type screen. And they were tracking in real time what Chinese threat actors in particular were doing to US companies. And they'd steal the research and development, the intellectual property, the trade negotiation strategies from that company, and we'd watch it go back out of the United States and hop back to China. So we decided to have a new strategy.
This new US strategy is offensive and public. It's announced at a Department of Justice press conference with strong backing.
By Assistant Attorney General for the National Security Division, John Carlin, United States Attorney for the Western District of Pennsylvania. Today we are announcing an indictment against 5 officers of the Chinese People's Liberation Army for serious cybersecurity breaches against 6 American victim companies.
We allege that members of Unit 61398 conspired to hack into computers of 6 U.S. victims to steal information that would provide an economic advantage to the victims' competitors.
The US doesn't only single out the Chinese military unit as responsible for the hacks, it goes one step further.
For the first time, we are exposing the faces and names behind the keyboards in Shanghai used to steal from American businesses.
At the FBI initiative, wanted notices, usually reserved for America's worst enemies, are published with the names and faces of Chinese hackers.
Were you expecting the wanted posters?
Yeah, no, I was not expecting the wanted posters, and I'm not sure I was in favor of it at the time. It was concerned they were doing. In retrospect, I think it was a good call for a couple of reasons. One, figuring out who did it, and not just generally that it's coming from Chinese military intelligence, by face, by name, who's sitting behind the keyboard, whose fingers are they? Number 2, make that public. Don't keep it in the shadows anymore. And finally, number 3, impose consequences so that this is not cost-free to ultimately change the behavior.
And I think that came as quite a big shock to the Chinese leadership, because I don't think they'd thought that kind of attribution would be possible. That really did give them pause for thought.
The Chinese state is forced to make concessions. In 2015, China and the US pledged to stop using their digital weapons to steal trade secrets.
Good afternoon, everybody. Please have a seat.
中国坚决反对和打击包括网络、商业窃密在内的各种形式的黑客攻击活动。美方在这方面呢，如果有关切，我们都可以通过既有的渠道来表达。
We've agreed that neither the U.S. or the Chinese government will conduct or knowingly support cyber-enabled theft of intellectual property, including trade secrets or other confidential business information for commercial advantage. I raised once again our very serious concerns about growing cyber threats to American companies and American citizens. I indicated that it has to stop. The United States government does not engage in cyber economic espionage for commercial gain.
The United States, who called for this meeting, is in fact itself involved in spying scandals. For the past 2 years, whistleblower Edward Snowden's revelations on the widespread US surveillance of citizens, businesses and politicians have shamed the Obama administration.
From a European perspective, it's very hard to see the difference between Chinese hack targeting big companies and US intelligence hack.
On the National Security Agency, it is illegal, right, to use government resources for economic reasons, right? Even if it's to support the biggest American company or for whatever reason, that's illegal, right? And that line doesn't necessarily exist, within, for example, some European countries' intelligence services, right? And it certainly doesn't exist within the Chinese intelligence services.
Did the attacks stop after this agreement?
No. Ultimately, it was a point in time, right? And it was a great discussion point, but we had no means of enforcing the agreement itself.
The agreement of the two leaders was not respected in reality. The attacks continued, and so did American accusations, always with media attention.
Southern District of New York. Today, we announced charges against two Chinese hackers, Zhu Hua and Zhong Shulong. The defendants' hacking campaigns also targeted U.S. government agencies, including the laboratories of NASA, the United States Department of Energy, and the U.S. Navy.
I'm here to announce the indictment of Chinese military hackers, specifically 4 members of the Chinese People's Liberation Army, for breaking into the computer systems of the credit reporting agency Equifax, and for stealing the sensitive personal information of nearly half of all American citizens.
Targeted industries included high-tech manufacturing, medical device, civil and industrial engineering, business, educational, and gaming software, solar energy, pharmaceuticals, and defense.
Some days, it seems like a never-ending battle.
From 2014 to mid-2021, 35 individuals were indicted for their involvement in Chinese cyber espionage operations. Among them are hackers, senior military officers, field agents, recruiters, and informers.
As long as these people remain in China, they're not within, they're not within reach. I mean, there have been cases where, Chinese involved in cyber espionage have been arrested outside China and prosecuted. It has happened. But the simple fact is that those responsible for these operations, as long as they don't leave China, are not at risk.
Of the 35 defendants, only 3 have been arrested. 2 are awaiting extradition to the United States from Malaysia, while only 1 has actually been convicted. After 18 months in US custody, he returned to China, free.
We can't take them into custody, try them in a court of law, and lock them up. Not today, anyway. But one day, these criminals will slip up, and when they do, we'll be there.
In Beijing, how does Eagle, the patriotic ex-hacker, react to these US charges?
What do you think of the way how the US portrayal the Chinese hackers?
这个是一个挺难回答，但是反正我觉得现在有点 boring 的问题。应该是 U.S. government 就是美国政府也在后面也是使了一些这个力量。那这个力量就好像之前斯诺登就是现在 在俄罗斯的那个斯诺登去揭露的一样，用一些这个技术手段。商业战中间都是这些不管怎么样，就大家不能说就是谁都是发展的历史都是刚刚的例子。
After the United States, is Europe the new target? Far from the resounding official statements from Washington, we instead take a look at articles written by specialized journalists. A Chinese hacker group called Winty has reportedly attacked German technology flagships. Reporter Hakan Tanriverdi has identified some of the victim companies.
In Germany, this group targeted at least 9 companies. Most of them are stock listed, so we're talking about big names like Siemens, BASF, Bayer, which is a chemical company, Lanxess, also a chemical company. Then you have Henkel. You might know them by the products they're making, like beauty products or cleaning products. What they also make is they make industrial type glue. And that glue is being used if you say you make an airplane and you want to glue things together, then you don't use normal glue you can find in the store. You use industrialized products. And this is another specialty of theirs.
3 grams of adhesive. 1 hour.
So that's a different type of glue. That's something you don't want on your hands.
Did you manage to find out if that was something the hackers were able to steal?
All of the companies we reached out to gave us a variation of the sentence. To the best of our knowledge, no sensitive information was taken, or not much sensitive information was taken. But I mean, why would they advertise, oh yeah, they stole all our important information?
Has Europe resorted in denying the seriousness of the attacks as a defense strategy to avoid offending its Chinese economic partner? During our investigation, we discover an attack that should have been disastrous. Between 2015 and 2018, thousands of diplomatic documents were stolen. These documents, called cables, came from Coru, the European Union's diplomatic messaging system. This IT tool connects EU member states to European institutions. It is intended to facilitate cooperation in foreign policy and crisis management. Federica Bicchi, a professor of international relations, is one of the few who has studied how Coru works.
It is quite a niche topic, but it is actually quite an important topic. And there is a sort of an assumption that diplomats go to Brussels and talk in Brussels face to face. But this is obviously quite far from reality, where a vast majority of interactions actually happen via email or electronic means. And the Coru system is a way that was introduced quite earlier on to exactly fulfill that function in a secure manner.
By getting their hands on this large quantity of classified documents, hackers can follow the day-to-day development of European foreign policy. In one of the stolen cables, a European mission chief warns of Chinese ambitions in Africa. The EU would benefit from elements for an updated strategy regarding its engagement with China and Africa, taking China as a partner, but also as a competitor and possibly even a threat. Yet this theft of Europe's sensitive data was not revealed by its intelligence agencies, but by a US cybersecurity firm, Area 1. Its short report on the attack explains that the hackers didn't target the Coru system itself. They broke into one of the network's points, the Cyprus Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It was there, on an international server, that they managed to get their hands on thousands of Coru documents. We meet Oren Falkowitz, the president of Area 1, who's based in Berlin, Germany. Before working in the private sector, he was a member of an elite hacker unit of the NSA, the US Cyber Intelligence Agency. The former American hacker is adamant that China is responsible for the Coru hack.
How confident are you in this case in your attribution to China?
100%. 100%. We employ a team of renowned experts. The report is signed by those people, and nobody has refuted our assertions. They're factual, and I don't think it's necessary to publish wasteful pages of paper around something that can be said in a sentence.
Mm-hmm. And so what made you realize that the attackers had access to the Coru cables?
The cables themselves. Like, we saw the attackers stealing the cables and saw the cables themselves, and so it was pretty obvious at that point.
How did you see that?
In accordance with the traditions of espionage, this security specialist keeps his methods secret.
And so, how did the hackers get access to the Coru cables? Can you walk us through the attack a bit?
Yeah, I mean, so like in every cyber attack, it starts with phishing. It's an attempt to get a user or a human, just like you and I, to take an action unwittingly. That can be receiving an email and you have a link, and that link tells you need to reset your Google or your Microsoft email password, but that's really a fake website, and now you've given the attacker your username and password. But the important thing to know is that 95% of all cybersecurity attacks begin with phishing.
How sophisticated was this attack?
Well, I don't think it was very sophisticated, but so not sophisticated. There's a version of cyber attacks that you read about in the newspapers. There's a version that you see in the movies, and then there's the reality about what's happening. Most of the activities that this Chinese attributed group is undertaking are generally unsophisticated, and they're kind of routine. But what's significant is what you can do kind of being unremarkable.
At this point, only Oren Falkowitz and his company Area 1 attribute the hacking of European diplomacy to China. After several months of investigation, no one has confirmed or denied this attack and its Chinese origin. Should we believe Area 1, whose founders are former American agents? A contact whose identity we must conceal sends us information that turns our investigation on its head. A password used by the attackers. European diplomatic documents are stored in the computer systems of the Cyprus Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The hackers managed to break in, but to avoid detection, they didn't directly retrieve the diplomatic cables. They gathered them in a file protected by their own password. LoveZK1980. Searching for this password on the Chinese web, we find an internet user whose pseudonym is LoveZK1980. To our knowledge, there is only one. On one of the most popular Chinese discussion forums, user LoveZK1980 posted several messages in 2012 in the military section. An erroneous wording in one of my posts about a senior staff member caused a great misunderstanding within the staff. I have apologized for my mistake, so I ask you to kindly delete the message. In another post, he specifies the 3rd Department of the General Staff, which is the branch of the Chinese military specializing in cyber espionage at that time. This is the department that the Chinese military indicted by the US in 2014 depended on. In a commercial register, we find LoveZK1980 again, but in a different form, an email address to contact a company in an IT group. The main company of this group is located in a big city in the southeast of China. We make our way there. The company is based at the address indicated. Its name is on the entrance sign of the building. On this major Chinese job board, this company says it needs someone to translate documents written in European languages. Job description: research and analyze various documents related to reports. Required skill: good command of current events. Good command of current events, one of the skills needed to decipher Coru documents. While there is no indication that the company is hiring to translate stolen cables, it needs people it can trust. In another announcement, it says it gives priority to members of the Communist Party. Equipped with a discreet camera, a Chinese-speaking journalist from our team poses as a candidate.
Hey, 你好。我就是我在招聘上看到你们在找翻译吗？
但我们找的是中国人。
哦 ，OK， 好好好。
我们找中国人。
明白明白。
要找住在这边的人。中国人。
明白明白。
不是，招怎么样的翻译？
对。
您是哪国？
法国的。
我们法国已经有法语已经有了。对对对，我们最近确实没有在招人。不好意思，不好意思。
明白。OK。
Our goal that day, to confirm the existence of this company and its need for translators. On the job board, the manager listed for this company has the initials ZK, suspiciously close to LoveZK1980. He claims to have many years of work experience in Chinese ministries. A few days later, we try to reach him by phone.
Hello.
喂，你好，先生，请问是安徽的智兰？
你是哪里？
您好，我们是法国法德合资公共电视台的记者。然后我们的话现在在做一个就是讲中国在网络科技上面的这种就是发挥力的一个纪录片，然后在网上了解到就是你们公司就是在相关的领域方面有一些成就，所以我们想了解一下，可以吗？
暂时不需要的。
暂时 就是我们想采访一下你们的 CEO， 你们的老板，可以吗？
暂时不需要，谢谢你。
您好，您拨叫的用户暂时无人接听，请您稍后再拨。
We try again by email. The company never respond to our repeated requests for an interview. Radio silence also from the Chinese ambassador to France, Lu Shai. If we review the facts, confidential European diplomatic documents have been stolen en masse. A US company claims it's a Chinese cyber attack. The hacker's password LoveZK1980, without establishing definitive proof, points to the boss of a Chinese computer company that's looking for European language translators. What does the European Union know about this attack?
So, are you in charge of cyber-related issues for the European Union?
I am the Managing Director for Common Security and Defense Policy of the European Union in the European Union External Action Service, which is basically a foreign service of the European Union, and this also includes cybersecurity.
Great.
We are following up a story published in 2018. It was the Coru hack. Have you heard about it?
Yes, of course, I have heard about it. You know, the particular attack that you have mentioned is only one of the very few attacks, very many attacks that have been going on, are going on, and probably will be going on. So on our side, we are constantly dealing with this challenge.
But so there has been a hack, right?
I cannot comment on those leaks that appeared in different media outlets.
The diplomat half-heartedly acknowledges the hacking of Coru, then changes the subject.
Was there any diplomatic response from the European Union following this incident?
We have in our machinery several possibilities, but I would like not to go into more details when it comes to this particular attack that you are referring. As you very well know, we have not attributed any attack to anyone.
And why not?
Attribution is a competence of member states. And to have a joint attribution, so attribution at the EU level would be a very difficult and probably a lengthy process.
To accuse a non-member country of cyber attacks, all 27 EU member states must agree.
We think we have identified the perpetrators of this hack. We followed a trail of clues leading to a building in China. Did the European Union manage to identify the individual operators of this hack?
Again, I'm really sorry, but I cannot enter into such details.
Is the European Union too weak to speak out on these cyber attacks and to confront China?
No, I mean, here I have to completely disagree with the notion that we are too weak to confront anyone. We are clearly concerned by the rise.
The representative sticks to the official line. He reads almost word for word a sheet drafted by the European Union communication a few months earlier.
China for us is in the same time cooperation partner, economic competitor, and also a systemic rival. we want to pursue a realistic, effective, and coherent engagement with China based on our values and our interests.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Many thanks. Great pleasure.
Strong diplomatic language is used. China is now a systemic rival, a competitor in all areas. But on the attack on its diplomatic communications, Europe continues to keep a low profile.
They minimized the issue, despite the fact that it was clear where it was coming from. Not going to come out and explain what they're doing, how they're doing it, etc., because it's already bad as it is in a way.
Washington officials, meanwhile, are hoping for a more aggressive stance from Europe on Chinese cyber espionage.
There's some belief if you close your eyes to it or appease to it, it's going to go away. And it's not. Waiting until they have more leverage and become more powerful before you have that discussion is a mistake. Now is the time to try to set the rules of the road.